Welcome to Nantucket Life, a show that celebrates the local life, stories, and culture of our beautiful island. My name is Hafsa Lewis. Get ready to meet some remarkable Nantucketers and hear their intriguing stories as we travel across the island. But first, let's go for a sail.
Pull, 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 pull. Yeah, you get in front, dude. There you go. Pull, 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 pull. Pull as hard as you can. Come on. Alright guys, we are on the peak halyard. It's called the peak halyard because it's going to haul up the very most forward point of the sail, called the peak. Okay guys, so watch me.
Alright guys, I'm going to say, we're going to do some big ones here. I'm going to say heave and you guys are going to say ho. We're all going to pull together, alright? Heave! Ho! Nice. Heave! All right, that's well, make that.
All right, guys, you're good. Drop that line. Nice job, guys.
Just the way they did it 200 years ago, sailing out of Nantucket Harbor, under sail. Got a boatload of Nantucket kids on board, which is really what the whole mission is all about with the Egan Maritime.
Head slow as well, sir.
That's well, Jib. Or that's well, staysail.
That's well, staysail. That's well.
You know what we call this sail? Not the mainsail. Because we're a schooner, we have two masts. Our main mast is our tall mast, is the aftermast, and our forward mast is our foremast. Off of the main mast is flown our main sail. Off of the foremast is flown our foresail.
This is technology and a design from over 200 years ago. And taking those things into consideration, we use our sails a lot to steer the ship. Although Lynx has an engine, we have a combination of engine and sails when we need it, but we're under complete sail power coming out.
2-6, 2-6, 2-6. Ever heard of it?
No.
Where you been?
So, did you guys see that boat that was anchored before we got off the dock that kind of looked a little bit like us? Yeah. So they're called the Alabama, and they're from Martha's Vineyard. So when they come out, we are going to salute them with a cannon, or two cannons. So we actually call them carronades. I'm referring to them as cannons, so you guys know what I'm talking about. But the first thing we need to do is we need to create the explosion. So this is 6 pounds of black powder, and we're going to be using this, which is called a ramming rod, to ram the black powder all the way in the back of the gun. This doesn't make the explosion, it just loads it. We will be shooting bread. So this is called a wadding. What this does is it keeps the black powder back there, so you're not just creating the explosion within the gun, you're keeping something back. So we are kind of creating pressure in the barrel so that you're not just igniting it and the explosion is happening.
Iono Lynx.
And then we take the second ramming rod and make sure it's all the way back there.
Good job, we were trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah, sorry about that. You mind if I stay on the greens and I'll see you on the reds?
Perfectly fine. We'll come down your port side. Have a great day.
Ayano, this is Links Clear. Thank you. Have a nice day. So now it's just basically concentration of using your maritime situational awareness. You got a big boat coming by. He's got passengers, we've got passengers. We're just making sure in the narrow channel that we've got passing arrangements. He understands where I'm going and I understand where he's going. And once he's past the no wake zone, he'll power up and be an impressive sight going by.
Yeah, you get in front. There you go. Pull, 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 pull. Pull as hard as you can. Come on. Go hard, big. Come on. Come on. There we go. Yeah.
Okay, so this is another fun experience for us because we've got Alabama coming out of the harbor now under full press. Right now we're calling the boats when we're sailing like this full and by. We are right now full and by.
Fire is able. All right, guys, cover your ears, cover your ears. Fire.
What's about the square sails in the ship that make the ship move very fast?
Well, the square is a very powerful sail, both upwind and downwind. People don't look at the square as an upwind sail, but it is. And our lower sails, our four lowers, are pulling sails. They're pulling us to windward with lift, and the square sail is also jumping in on that, and it's driving the boat. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Want to take the wheel?
Excited to have this
I'm gonna be right here with you.
All right.
Grab a spoke. Okay, and you're just gonna, we don't do a lot of turning, we just do a little bit of correcting. Excellent.
Who's this at the wheel?
Joseph.
Good job, man. Pretty good feeling behind the wheel of a 122-foot schooner, huh?
How lucky are those kids? Nantucket's sailing community is world-renowned, and the Links takes you back into sailing history. And equally renowned is our theater workshop of Nantucket, with its thriving community of actors, directors, producers, and musicians. Who couldn't use an evening of ABBA songs and live theater to lift the spirits?
You are here with me on our stage out at Bartlett Farm. We have constructed a 40 by 24 foot stage to bring people back to theater. But then also to bring a little bit of joy, I think, to the island, we decided we'd bring Mamma Mia back, which was such a hit in 2017. And coupled with that, we're celebrating our 65th anniversary, so I thought it'd be nice to do, something new, something older, a nod back to the classics. So we're going to present A Grand Night for Singing, which is a Rodgers and Hammerstein review that will run in rep throughout the summer out here under the stars. So we're very fortunate, I feel, selfishly, to have Andrew Graham here. He happens to be my husband, but he also happens to be a Broadway conductor. He's headed to do Moulin Rouge in January. But we have him here for Mamma Mia and for A Grand Night for Singing. Mamma Mia is going to sound just like you want it to sound. We've got a new set of electric drums. It's very exciting. And then even more exciting, though, on A Grand Night for Singing, some of our local favorite musicians will be joining us. Nigel Goss, Molly Glazer, Isaiah. So I think it should just be a beautiful experience and two very different experiences in the same location. This is the first time in my 8 years as artistic director here that I've felt a real sense of community. I mean, certainly we've collaborated with organizations and we work together, but I mean, this feels like the community came together to make this happen. Bartlett's Farm has been just incredible in their generosity. Marine Home has helped fund this entire stage, which is just huge. I can't go without mentioning, we have, I think, one of the most supportive boards. I mean, when Bethany Oliver and I said, let's do this, they didn't hesitate. They just were like, great, how do we do it? What do you need?
I mean, talk about a community coming together. And Bartlett just letting us be here in their backyard. I just think that this is the epitome of a community pulling together after a really trying time, and it shows. My name is Sarah Fraunfelder and I play Tanya. It is love on stage. It is all about connecting. It is all about family and chosen family and real family and people coming together, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful story. It's impossible not to fall in love with it.
It's a full of heart, I think also empowering story about a young woman finding herself and her mother kind of reinventing herself and finding herself yet again. So they over the course of 2 hours and I think about 17 ABBA hits, I think it warms your heart, and it also takes you on a journey that's a little bit unexpected. And I think everybody leaves having seen a little bit of themselves on the stage, which is why I think they connect so well to the story.
I don't care if you've slept with hundreds of men. You're my mother, and I love you.
Oh, Sophie. I haven't slept with hundreds of men.
I do, I do, I do, I do, I do. Hard feelings between you and me. Finally facing my
What a great night out with friends, enjoying a musical under the stars at Bartlett's. Now let's join our producer Rachel in town as she tracks down the island's finest cocktails.
Thanks, Hafsa. I'm Rachel Devine, and we're here today in downtown Nantucket to check out the local scene in search of some of the best cocktails on the island. We're headed over to Backyard Barbecue to talk to Armani Rodriguez. Armani infuses local ingredients, flavor, and culture into her cocktails. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to see what you're gonna make me today. I heard it involves some jalapenos.
Some jalapenos. I love it so much just because it incorporates the 3 favorite things that brings me back to home.
Okay. And where are you from?
So I grew up in Mexico. I was born in Chicago, raised in Mexico. My mom wanted me to learn Spanish. So what better place to learn and also to learn my culture. So lived there for over 10 years, finished college and everything. I loved it. So I'm so excited to introduce these few ingredients like hibiscus. Hibiscus reminds me of cookouts with my family.
Okay.
Tequila reminds me of my first time drinking and maybe some hangovers.
You've incorporated it into the signature drink here.
I did. So when I told her I introduced a cocktail with hibiscus that she sent me, she's like, that's awesome, and now it's on the menu. So she's really excited.
Very nice.
Yeah. Gives it a nice little pop. Here you go. Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, this is excellent. Well, thank you for showing us your signature cocktail.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. We're headed to the next place. We're here at Crew with bartender Tom Heiser, who's going to make one of their signature cocktails for us, the Crewcumber.
It was invented by Kat Dunn, our original cocktail director, year 1 in 2012. So basically, it's a vodka-based martini-ish cocktail. It's done with Zubrowka bison grass vodka. It's 2 ounces of the bison grass vodka, which we follow up with 2 ounces of cucumber juice that we squeeze fresh every day, like a lot of it. And some lemon juice, about a half an ounce. And we do a toasted sesame simple syrup. We just toast sesame seeds in the oven, let them steep in a simple syrup for usually overnight. And it just lends a little nuttiness and a little bit of flavor to the simple syrup, but it doesn't make the drink too sweet. Shake it vigorously. You can kind of feel when it gets nice and fluid in there. And voila.
All right.
And you get to try one. Lucky you.
It's my favorite part.
Yeah, you got a good job with this, don't you?
I do.
Get to travel around all the bars and have cocktails. I wish I had your job.
Very refreshing. I feel like I'm at a spa. we're here at Proprietor's Bar and Table with bartenders Charlie and Lee, and they are going to create a suffragette city for us, which is on their signature cocktail menu. Can you tell me a little bit about the process that you make your own creation beforehand with?
Yes, so we started with this, like you mentioned, it is a women crowd-funded owned distillery out of Washington, D.C. To kind of make our own take on it, we sous vide lemons and orange zest with the vodka itself. So it basically is our in-house citrus vodka at this point that we use in the drink. So we like to showcase the product.
Exactly.
All right, let's dive in.
Yeah, so exactly like Lee said, we take our in-house infused vodka. We'll do a little ounce and a half of this guy to start. And basically just to kind of keep it dry, not too sweet like people might expect from a Cosmo, because this is our adaptation of a Cosmo essentially. Right. We'll use dry curacao instead of traditional triple sec. Less sweet, still orange flavor. Our cranberry hibiscus cordial.
Yes, we also make a cranberry hibiscus cordial in-house, which also goes in our sous vide as well. We're big fans of the sous vide machine. So this kind of gives it
floral notes, tart notes, pretty
Exactly.
colors, all the things. Shake her up for me, but I'll get you glass. Thank you. Got it. Yeah, baby. And then top it off, keep it classic. Little lime wheel.
Very nice.
Cheers,
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah. Now that you've seen a few of the best cocktails on Nantucket, we're going to leave it up to you to decide. Sam, what's your favorite cocktail in Nantucket? Perfect.
Thanks, Rachel. Great job with the research on some of Nantucket's favorite gathering places. Another type of gathering place on the island is the Museum of African American History and its prominent location at Five Corners. This site represents over 200 years of African American life on Nantucket, and it is truly an example of living history.
Welcome to the Museum of African American History's Nantucket campus, a remarkable site consisting of 5 buildings, including the African Meeting House and the Boston Higginbotham House.
Growing up on Nantucket, we visited these sites. It is so terrifying to learn that all of the United States historic sites are being shut down or torn down. If we continue to use them and breathe life back into them, we can preserve our history.
To see these buildings in use means an awful lot to me. I grew up on Nantucket, and honestly, my first performance was at the African Meeting House.
This was a sanctuary. The Meeting House was a sanctuary for those persons who had escaped to freedom and were looking for safe passage to other parts of the country or safe harbor here on the island. The house behind us is the house that Seneca Boston acquired. This is also the house that later became the home of Florence Higginbotham.
I mean, she was a very beautifully poised woman, very elegant. Before she married, she did attend the Boston Cooking School and went on to work as a domestic on the island of Nantucket. She also worked as a chef for the Nantucket Yacht Club. The house itself from the outside, because there were so many changes in the 20th century, is unrecognizable as an 18th century structure. In the process of doing the restoration, we were maintaining everything that had been added, changed to the structure up until 1974. What we were really pleased to find that we have within this structure, which despite all of the changes that one can see on the exterior, the interior is amazingly intact. The walls where the windows were placed, the plan in essence, is an 18th century plan. The circle begins with Seneca Boston's 18th century room. It was a room with detailing that is the best of 18th century fireplace paneling. So it is a raised, beveled paneling that was always painted. And so that's what we have in the 18th century space. And if we move through the first floor, we can go right directly into the 19th century space. We have, again, a fireplace, but whatever paneling may have existed there in its original construction of the 18th century has been upgraded to the 19th century Greek revival. So there's a wonderful Greek revival mantelpiece. In this particular one, it was painted to replicate a very fine black and gold marble. So we moved from the 19th century into a back room, which was the original kitchen, but it is now so filled with all of the detailing of Florence Higginbotham. And in that kitchen, which we call Florence's kitchen, we have her early white porcelain sink, we have her kitchen cabinets, glass and wood and all of her hardware, and we have the most stunning cast iron cook stove of Florence's. In many respects, the restoration project here is unique in the sense of its 200 years, but in the sense of the proposal for its use, which is to be more than the traditional house museum, but to be active, to be living.
It is important that we cling to our traditions and history and that we continue to share them so that those who lost their lives can be appropriately honored.
The problem was we were all Nantuckets. Now you get 10 to 20 Nantucketers in a room together and they've had a drink or two, and I guarantee you there'll be some lively conversations and a bit of controversy, and that's a fact.
I hope that we can continue to do these types of things in this building, celebrating the Black community on this island, and not just for the Black community, but for everyone.
Through its historic buildings, collections, and programs, the museum expands cultural understanding and promotes dignity and respect for all. We are also keeping a keen eye on our natural home, preserving island wildlife with this next segment about a Nantucketer whose discovery landed him in National Geographic.
I am Skylar Cardell. I was born and raised on Nantucket. This is going to be my second season as coastal steward for the Tuckernuck Land Trust. My position is kind of a jack of all trades type position. Primarily it's monitoring the shorebirds that are both nesting and migrating through Tuckernuck. And overall just kind of a resource for anyone on the island hoping to learn a little more about natural history or the birds that are around them. There's been over 400 species in the entire history of Nantucket ornithology that have been recorded here. So there are countless opportunities to see and discover new species for yourself. And of course there is that competitive aspect that I personally really enjoy. And I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but when you wake up at 3 a.m. For a birdathon and you try for 24 hours to see as many birds as you can, you will get a sense of adrenaline that is unparalleled by anything else. On the day I found that bird, I had to send it around to like 6 different people before I actually got a conclusive ID on it as being a gray heron. And by that time, it was already nightfall and the bird had flew the coop, so to speak. But then the next day we went out to Muskeget. This was September 6th, and it was me and Tucker Taylor. So we came out with the intent to photograph it to the best of our ability and to really get solid documentation. And we got our bird. It was basically the first bird we saw as we landed on Muskeget. It was there waiting for us. It's one of the most surreal experiences of my life, just like coming ashore on Muskeget and having that be the bird right on the shore. Yeah, we came in that day knowing what we were gonna find, and we were really lucky that we were able to re-find it on Muskeget. Of all places, it could have flown all the way down to Cape May by that time, but instead it just went to the next island over. So.
Skylar made history with his discovery of the gray heron as a result of spending his days meticulously documenting birds on Nantucket, Tuckernuck, and Muskeget. And now we have another individual, an artist who has been creating whimsical works in his Nantucket studio for over 50 years. Let's join our producer Katie as she chats with John and Judy Lochtefeld about art and life.
Tell me a little bit, John, about how you got into painting and doing, well, just art in general.
My earliest memories of drawing go back to before the Second World War, when I was just a little kid. And I drew on everything. I did a major painting on my parents' bedroom wallpaper.
Oh, no.
It was not well received. I continued to draw and to enjoy it. And when I went off to college, I decided that I would major in art. Why not? You have to major in something, you know.
So how did you come to having a gallery on Nantucket?
I had a brother-in-law who discovered Nantucket.
Jimmy Crecca, right?
Was Jimmy Crecca. He was jumping up and down. He was so excited. He says, I found this wonderful place. You got to come up there and take a look. It is really special.
And he called John and he said, I found exactly the place you need. And if you don't buy it, I will. And that sent him right up here as fast as he could.
Since then, I've had the studio here now for 54 years, I think.
When did you realize that your talent of painting and the sculpting, when did you realize that like people wanted to pay for that, you know?
Well, we started out with hope. And darned if it didn't work out for us.
Your father couldn't believe it, that you could make pictures and sell them.
How essential was having Judy there to, you know, help you with your career pursuing art?
We had 5 children in 6 years, and she was busy.
Yeah.
But together we've run this gallery for a long time, and I do the matting and framing, and he does the artwork, and he makes the frames, and our children, as they grew up, framed for us and for the public as well.
I think I've been very, very lucky, because when I made the decision that I was going to spend my life in the arts, I had no illusions about the world was going to beat a way to my door and knock down the door and demand paintings. I figured I'd be lucky if I made a living.
My Uncle Michael, who you know, has your paintings plastered on every wall, every surface in his house, and I would stay with my uncle. He'd be like, oh, you know that? And I'm like, yeah, that's a beautiful painting. But that's John Lochtefeld. And he was like, who's John Lochtefeld? And to finally be able to walk into here and, you know, get to know you, like I've known you, but I haven't gotten to know you, it's, I don't know if there's really words to describe it, maybe a little bit surreal in a way. You know, it's kind of funny that the same person who brought you here, Jimmy Crecca, who you grew up with, who my grandfather grew up with, is the same person who indirectly brought me here as well. In a way, you guys are an extension of not only my family's history, but also my family in general, you know?
Yes. I think if they're going to call me anything, I'd just as well be called whimsical, because I have enjoyed it immensely.
How magical is John's artwork, so inspiring. Even though the Lochtefeld Gallery is winding down, John keeps making his art, and it can be found through the Artists Association of Nantucket and Old Spouter Gallery. It's no secret that our island is home to many strong and powerful women. And now you can interact with some of these fierce and independent ladies of Nantucket's past through their ghostly apparitions, appearing as holograms at the Whaling Museum. Let's go back in time.
Where am I? This feels like Nantucket, but you don't look like the Nantucket people I knew. No matter, I'm Keziah Coffin, Keziah Folger Coffin, and I'm glad.
Visitors are coming into the museum, they're excited, and as an interpreter that welcomes them, we guide them to the highlights of the museum. And the highlight this year, of course, is the hologram. People's eyes light up, they're impressed, and they come into the exhibit here and they sit down, and it's a really intimate experience. People in one sitting, adults, youth, will listen to every one of these extraordinary women tell her story. So it's a whole experience in itself.
It actually became real about 2 years ago when the NHA cut us loose to work on this. And we were given a few different locations as to where we actually could do it. And of course, each location required different dynamic, different engineering, different everything. And finally they said, well, there is this office that we are not using. Can you make it work in here?
What we're trying to do at the end of the day is just tell a story, effectively. The stories of these women that we have in here are really remarkable. They're living in a time that was just really fraught with things happening, slavery and the right to vote and war.
Actually, it all started with Susan Boardman and her embroidered narratives. And Susan, in order to do them, spent a great deal of time at the NHA Research Library learning about these women. And that eventually wound up as an exhibit here at the Whaling Museum. It turned into a book that Betsy Tyler had written, and it went on from there. Yeah, Eliza was an agitator. She was in the middle of it all. She knew everyone, she organized everyone, she got them together, and she led the charge.
That is so weird. I am now a hologram, which is kind of crazy. I could be there forever. I could be there longer than I'm here. That's a little spooky, but I guess that's part of the point, because it's spirits. It's spirits within us. And boy, did she have spirit. Oh my God, that Eliza, whoo! Everybody thinks she was all about the genealogy, but no, she was a feisty one. She was a feisty agitator.
Particularly fond of the natural sciences, agriculture, and history. I became a recognized botanist and entomologist. Insects, most fascinating.
Well, we here at the NHA, we want to preserve and interpret the island's stories through programs and collections to foster an appreciation to different audiences. And this, you see, like we said, intergenerational. You see grandparents, children, and they're all just in awe and they're engaged. And this nowadays, everyone's looking at their phone outside. Their heads are down and their heads are up looking in that room.
I'm Anna Gardner, and I'd like to tell you of the momentous struggles I witnessed in my 85 years on this good earth.
I loved literature and writing poetry throughout my life and was drawn to the stories and legends of the Wampanoags who came to Nantucket centuries ago.
And I yearned to see the world beyond the shores of Nantucket. So I was delighted when he invited me to join him on a voyage to the South Pacific in pursuit of sperm whales.
There's a tablet right there. If you touch each image, you can meet each of them, and they'll tell you in their own words about their own remarkable lives and the people they knew who inspired them. I'm one of them, so please be sure to choose me.
And with the women of the Gray Lady paving their way into the future, that concludes our first trip around Nantucket. I hope you've enjoyed learning about the people and places that make our little island 30 miles out to sea a great place to visit and an even better place to call home. I'm Hafsa Lewis. See you next time for more stories here on Nantucket Life.